The San Francisco 49ers play the Jacksonville Jaguars on Sunday, and it should be a hell of a football game. Jason Aponte, let's talk about it. Hit my music.
Burp. Burp, 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 burp. Burp.
We are live. It is a new episode of the Sprint Ride Option Podcast. I'm Andrew Pasquini, joined as always by the beautiful, the incomparable, the man who's going to go see Anderson .Paak in concert tonight, Jason Aponte. Jason, how's your Friday going, man?
Pretty good, man. You know, Anderson .Paak and no worries in Brooklyn tonight. The New York Yankees tied for first in the AL East with a chance to, get a bye this weekend. I mean, life is a dream. And the 49ers are going to start 4-0 this weekend. I mean, this is literally shaping up to be an incredible weekend.
We like it. Hopefully the Niners start out 4-0. I am less sure about it watching the Jaguars, but we'll talk about that here in a second.
Well, and real quick before we get into this, guys, if you're new here, you should check out on Twitter. We're doing a giveaway with Sheed from Warriors World. We're giving away a red, black, and hoodie, a black hoodie of the Freddie Wooger, design that he has in there. So what you want to do is you want to go find that tweet. Make sure you're following Warriors World. You're sub to the channel. Post your screenshot, and we'll choose one of three winners. We'll choose three winners shortly. So you just want to make sure that you're in on that.
Hi, I love Shade, love Warriors World, love what they're doing with you, Jason. Upon the shirt, that shirt's pretty heat. Let me, you know what? Just for the people, let me pull up your tweet. Yeah, let me pull up your tweet real quick so they could see what the shirt looks like, because it is a very, very good shirt, and it works well with Fred Warner, because Fred Warner's pretty spooky, pretty good football player, pretty spooky. Let me see if I can get this share screen up real quick. Share screen, bada bing, bada boom. Hopefully my messages aren't showing up. Don't want those to pop up. Here we go. Boom. There we go. There's one of the shirts right there. Nice little Freddy Krueger design. Freddy Wooger, as they say it.
Jaden Reed coined the phrase, but yeah, we're gonna give away one of each to three lucky winners.
There's another. There's the long sleeve, and then there's the hoodie. As I said, shout out Shade, shout out Warriors World. They always have the best looking merch, especially when it comes to not just Niners, but Warriors. They have a very good Giant shirt with Fleming, Miller, Kruk, and Kipe. Very, very good merch. And I love Warriors World. I love Shade. I've been a big fan even before I got into this content creation game, Jason Aponte. So make sure you go do that. Make sure you go follow Warriors World and sub to Jason Aponte's YouTube channel, because it would be cool. You would be the coolest person, dare I say, in the city you live in, if you had this shirt.
And shout out to everybody. We just got to 8.4 thousand on the channel, man. Big accomplishment. I'm so happy to share all this stuff with you guys in the community we've built, man. Appreciate you guys for always repping and everything as well too, man. It's been a good year, and it's been a good time since we started this.
Yeah, man, Mr. 8400. That's why I call Jason Aponte myself. I've always called him that too.
Yeah.
Jason, can I start today's podcast with a personal story that happened to me this week?
Sure,
Just because I thought it was
absolutely.
very funny. So I've been going through my health issues, right? My heart stuff. I went to the cardiologist on Wednesday.
Not Cardi
had a
B.
very serious,
not Cardi B.
Yeah, heart doctor.
Not
Serious,
Cardi B. Cardiologist.
Not cardiac, dude. I wish. But anyway, I digress there, Jason Aponte. But I had, very serious conversation about all this stuff. But as he was walking in, I hear him talking to somebody else about like Caleb Williams and the Bears. And so at the end of my appointment, I go, "Oh, are you a Bears fan?" And he goes, "No, my coworker, or my, whatever they call their co-doctors, is a Bears fan. He's from Chicago. I'm a big Niner fan." And I go, "Oh, hell yeah." And he saw my Niner hat. I was wearing this Niner hat. And he goes, "Oh, are you a Niner fan? Obviously you have the hat." I'm like, "Oh yeah, like I write for NinersNation.com. I have a little podcast." And he goes, "Oh, NinersNation.com. I read NinersNation.com, and I actually watch podcasts too." And he goes, "You know who Grant Cohn is?" And I go, "Yeah, dude, I know exactly who Grant." He's like, "Yeah, dude, I listen to like him, and I listen to others." So obviously I plugged the podcast, right? Like Sprint Ride Option Podcast, NinersNation.com, Jason Aponte, the most beautiful man in the world. And we started talking Niners, and I just sat there and I was like, man, I just really talked Niners Twitter with some guy who has a PhD in heart. Like, I feel way out of my realm right now talking to this guy about Niners Twitter. It was the funniest thing, man. It was really cool. He likes Brock Purdy. Bummed about Bosa. He's a Niner fan, and I love that for my cardiologist. So my cardiologist is here. Like, shout out, man. I love you. I appreciate you. And I felt very out of my sort talking to a man with a PhD. about 49ers Twitter.
49ers fans are from all walks of life.
Yes.
I've met lawyers and guys, guys who like have like these big important jobs, but at the end of the day, the root of themselves are just fans like us. And what may separate us with classes and jobs and stuff like
Yeah.
that, at the end of the day is still just what makes us the same is we're just all 49ers fans. And it's always cool to meet people like from different walks of life. Like, like again, like when I go away to like certain games, you meet people that are doctors and lawyers, and it's just like, man, you start to think, we're the same as in terms of fans, but these people have better jobs and stuff like that. But the things that separate us and divide us is the one thing that makes us all the same is that we're all 49ers fans.
And I knew he was a good Niner fan because he didn't say bang bang once. So that's always a good sign of being a good Niners fan.
Yeah.
Jason, we are live here on youtube.com, as you said earlier. Subscribe if you haven't, liked this video if you haven't already. We are here to talk 49ers Jacksonville Jaguars. And I think this is going to be a fun game. I think this is going to be a defensive slugfest between these two teams. I'm sure we'll talk about it at depth here. But Jason, just kind of as we usually do, how are you feeling about going into Sunday against the Jaguars, a team that's 2-1? The offense isn't playing like their record says it is, but the defense definitely is. Where do you currently feel Friday, September 26, 12:06 p.m. my time, 3:06 your time? How do you feel about the Niners versus Jaguars?
I like a lot of the stuff that I've been watching from the Jaguars, especially like the 3 weeks and their defense and what they do, but their defensive numbers are a little skewed, and let me explain. I like the stuff that they do up front. They run a lot of stunts and twists, and obviously Josh Allen, whatever, he's great. Eric Armstead, revenge game, right? Like they create pressure with 4, but they played Carolina and Cincinnati without Joe Burrow, and then Houston, who's awful. Like I don't know if they're like that good, or those teams stink, which I think they objectively do on offense. All 3 of those teams. So I'm caught in this like this part where I'm like, yes, I can appreciate what the Jaguars do, because they don't blitz a lot, and we'll talk about all that stuff, and they get pressure with 4, but I don't know, man. I think that they just faced a bunch of ungood teams, and everybody's kind of gassing them up. We're going to find out this week, and I think the 49ers are presenting them their biggest challenge, regardless of who's out there on the field, whether it's Mac or Brock or Jawan Jennings plays. I'm just not in love with who they've played on their schedule. They play their schedule, and they play who's in front of them, but Houston stinks on offense. So does Carolina, and then Joe Burrow gets knocked out, and Jake Browning throws 3 interceptions, and they lose that game. So I don't know, man. Like I'm not as impressed.
Yeah, I'm kind of caught up in between that because I fully understand the offenses they've played have not been great, right? Like Bryce Young and the Panthers, Jake Browning and the Bengals, they lose that game to Jake Browning. And then Bryce Young has completely, or not Bryce Young, sorry, CJ Stroud has completely fallen off. I don't know what happened there. We don't need to talk about the Texans until week whatever the Niners play them. But it's not like the Niners offense has been particularly spectacular, right? Like nothing really jumps out. The passing game's been better than the running game. The running game needs to develop a little bit more. And it's a little concerning. I'm not going to say I'm massively concerned about it, but Brock Purdy, he's had a bit, not a massive interception problem, but he's susceptible to throw interceptions, right? He threw 2 in his only game this season. And this is a Jacksonville defense that has been creating turnovers to a point where through 3 games, small sample size, absolutely, small sample size, you're just as likely as an offense to turn the ball over as you are to score. Jacksonville has a 26.5% turnover percentage and a 26.5 scoring percentage. So you're at this moment, you are just as likely to turn the ball over as you are to score against Jacksonville. So there's absolutely that. But at the same time, like the Niners offense has a potential that I don't feel like they've hit yet. I think you've seen it a little bit with Mac Jones. I think it can only get better with the alleged return of Brock Purdy. And I'm still, I know like in my head, Brock Purdy is going to play on Sunday, but they keep on using like this weird terminology of like, yeah, it feels like he's going to play. He's trending to play. And it's just like, man, why haven't we committed yet? Like, and that makes me a little concerned. I think my head 90% of the way says, yes, he's playing, but 10% is like, ooh, they're not being very committal about it. So I am a bit concerned, and I think this is going to be a defensive slugfest, a slobber knocker, as good old JR would say back on WWE Raw back in the 90s. I think this is going to be a fun football game, and I think what it really is going to come down to is quarterback play. And I know 95-7, who was it? Dibley said he'd rather have Trevor Lawrence and Brock Purdy. I think that's a take you say 3 years ago. I think at this moment in time, Brock Purdy's a better quarterback than Trevor Lawrence.
I'd say that.
And I think that's what it's going to come down to, because also it's not just Trevor Lawrence. A lot of people have been talking about the Brian Thomas regression a little bit, but it's really all Jacksonville receivers. Jacksonville has the most drops this season with 14. Trevor Lawrence has the second lowest completion percentage in the NFL. Those drops don't help, but he also has 14 off-target throws as well. He's not helping himself. I guess where I'm getting to, Jason, is if this is not the first game since week 11 against Seattle last year where the 49ers get an interception, I don't know when they're getting an interception. Like plain and simple. So I think this game really comes down to the quarterback play between Purdy and Lawrence, and I feel good with where Purdy is compared to Trevor Lawrence at this point in their career.
Yeah, and I think that's very fair. I think, given the expectations and everything as well, too. By the way, the Brian Thomas breakout didn't happen until Mac Jones was actually the quarterback. And that's something
Weird
that everybody, somebody completely overlooked that. So when you were drafting your fantasy football team, you were saying, hey, he broke out at the end of the year. Yeah, that was with Mac Jones, not Trevor Lawrence. And we're starting to see that. There is a little bit of a regression on his part. But, again, I think with the Lawrence thing, the defenders are always going to sit and say, well, his team leads the league in drops. That's true. That's absolutely true. Brian Thomas's alligator armed a bunch of balls as well, too. But EPA per dropback, and this is not good, minus 0.01. That's 21st in the league. What the Jaguars do very well is run the football. They're 9th in the league with EPA per rush, expected points added per rush, 0.05. Short, intermediate, and deep passing, these are the numbers. Short EPA for Jacksonville, minus 0.01. Again, on offense, you want plus. You don't want minus. You want minus for defense. Intermediate, 0.33. That's where they're doing well. That's 18th in the league, in that area. And deep, they are 31st, minus 0.82. Yes, this has to be the game that they get an interception. I do think that it is going to be Fred Warner, as he did the last time that they played Jacksonville. But yeah, the thing is that the 49ers, and this is something that maybe a few years ago would have sounded crazy, but the 49ers absolutely have to turn the Jaguars into a drop back passing team and put the ball in Trevor Lawrence's hands and make him beat them, right? Think about what you're saying right there, right? And think about that draft, because remember, the 49ers famously had pick 3 in that draft. Think about that night. Pick 1 goes to the Jacksonville Jaguars, and you're like, man, they're set forever. Like, they really hit the lottery. Tank for Trevor was a real thing. And here we are, 5 years into his career, and we're saying, I want the ball in his hands, and that's how I want him to beat, my defense. I need to see him beat. It's very, very crazy how his career is kind of unfolded, but that's just where we are. You want the 49ers to cut off the run, and you want Trevor Lawrence to drop back and try and beat you. That's the way you're going to win this game. Because if they're allowed to run the football, if you're having a tough time slowing down Travis Etienne, who's having a masterful year, and by the way, Bashaw Tootin made them get rid of Tank Bigsby, by the way, Andrew Pasquini draft crush, they're running the shit out of the football. And if you allow them to continue to run the football, control the clock, play with, use play action and get those easy layup throws for Lawrence, it's going to be a long day. But if you can stop the run and make Trevor Lawrence beat you, that's where the 49ers defense has to have this. And that's the way that they're going to have to transform that offense from less balanced to that.
And it's funny that, like, not funny, haha. It's just funny, something to notice. This might be the perfect first game for the Niners without Nick Bosa, because it's not like Trevor Lawrence has a bad offensive line in front of him. He has more interceptions than time sacked. His according to PFF, or not PFF, PFR, Pro Football Reference, and they use pressures a little differently than PFF. They do hurry hits and sacks as pressures. Trevor Lawrence has the lowest pressure rate in the NFL at 9.2%. So like his offensive line is holding up. It's just a combination of the drops. And again, like Brian Thomas getting a lot of attention for his 5 drops. But who's the second receiver? Not Travis Hunter. I had it in front of me and I completely lost it. What's his name? Boop, 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 boop. I'm gonna go find it. Jason, Dyami Brown. He has 4 drops on 15 targets this season. So like it's not just a Brian Thomas thing. It's a common, like it's almost as if like it's a combination of bad hands on receivers and Trevor Lawrence being inaccurate. But Trevor Lawrence is standing clean in these pockets, man, and he's making these mistakes. So if there's a game where you're not going in with Nick Bosa for the first time, like this one feels like it would be fine because Trevor Lawrence is going to make those mistakes. And so what the Niners are going to need to do, because again, only 3 games, small sample size, but this Jaguars defense looks legitimate, right? What they're going to have to do is force turnovers to put extra drives on that Jacksonville defense to try and tire them out. Extended drives are going to be huge here, which comes into the run game. Christian McCaffrey's got to be better than 3.5 yards per carry he's at. And that might be an offensive line thing. Jason, you're the tape guy. Maybe you're seeing something different than I am, but McCaffrey's got to be better. Yeah. There's ways to win this game. And if the Niners don't take advantage of Trevor Lawrence, and Trevor Lawrence has a game where, you know, we talk Sunday in the instant reaction of like, well, that's why he was the number 1 pick in the draft. The Niners are going to be in trouble. But if they can make Lawrence make mistakes on his own, like this really, like this is a game, Jason, where if the Niners defense shows out, it's going to be you're going to pick Robert Saleh as your number 1 star because the defense showed up. And again, like we shouldn't be talking like that about a Jacksonville offense, but the run game is better than the pass game. So you're going to have to make Lawrence make mistakes because he's not getting pressured by himself. You're just going to have to confuse the hell out of him and hope he makes a bad throw right into somebody's stomach. So there's paths to win this game. I think this is going to be a slobber knocker, as I said, but like there's plenty of paths for the Niners to win this game, even without Nick Bosa on defense.
Yeah, and Jacksonville's offense has faced the second to last blitz rate percentage of 21.8%. And when they have been blitzed, they've done pretty well against it, 0.08 EPA, that's 16th in the league. But pressure rate, and to Andrew's point, second in the league with pressure rate allowed, 19.3%. This is a good offensive line, but here's where it is. When the 49ers, you know, if the 49ers do get pressure, or if the Jaguars are pressured, or if Trevor Lawrence has to be pressured, minus 0.42 EPA per play on pressure. So again, the 49ers are going to blitz more than they ever have because Nick Bosa is not there. That's one of the ways to supplement, you know, the loss of him. Or, you know, I guess I don't even know if that's the right way to use that word. Anyway, that's exactly what they're going to do. And that's exactly what they did in 2020 under Robert Saleh when unfortunately Nick Bosa got hurt. So yeah, there's going to be a path straight to that, but it's going to have to be with extra blitzes. Now, on the back end, you know, the secondary, you're going to have to cover in man and stuff like that. And I don't know if you know, with zone, yes, you can run some stuff that, you know, you can fall into zone with blitzes, but for the most part, it's going to be, you know, cover one man, you know, things like that. So this is going to be a game for the secondary to make sure that they're clamps, but I think the 49ers plan has to be blitz as much as you can and try to get as much pressure on Trevor Lawrence because he's not good dealing with it.
How do you think, outside of the blitzes, because I know obviously blitzing is going to have, but how do personnel-wise do you think the Niners replace Nick Bosa? Do you think it's going to be more Bryce Huff on standard downs, or do you think it's going to be more Yetur Gross-Matos on standard? Like, how do you think the personnel-wise the Niners are going to try and replace Nick Bosa?
I want Bryce Huff to kind of stay in his situational role because that can be, you know, where his impact is felt the most. Although, you know, what the hell do I know? Back-to-back 90-plus graded games, you know, on defense, you know, and the thing is his strength is not playing the run, right? And I want him to be impactful there, right? So is this a combination of, Gross Matos at outside and Michael on the other side. And unfortunately, we talked about this. The cascading effect of Nick Bosa not being there just means that Michael can't be moved around, and he's going to have to be on the outside more, because we were having a lot of fun, moving him around and just, creating havoc in that way. I do think you see an increased snap share for Bryce Huff. I think that's not really jumping out on the limb, but I don't know if I want to see him on every single down. I mean, look, if he's blowing shit up and he's wrecking shop, then who cares? Put him out there or whatever. But I just feel like his impact is so good when he's a situational guy and when he can just, go after the quarterback and use that get off. But yeah, it's going to be a combination of both those things. And I think the 49ers are going to have to try to figure that out. That's why this period right before the trade deadline is really going to be impactful in terms of what type of edge rusher or defensive lineman the 49ers pursue based on how they perform and based on how the rookies go, right? So this is all going to be information gathering this entire month of this is what we're able to do, this is how we're able to generate pressure, this is where we feel our development is, and this is going to be the type of player we're after and that we feel like, will fit, depending on where everybody else is. So, you're going to have to wait a little while to figure out who that new edge rusher is going to be. But this has got to be a time where you're trying to figure out what are these combinations so you can figure out what type of edge rusher you're going to add in terms of tier.
In terms of injury report on both sides, it looks like Jacksonville is going to come in relatively healthy. A few limited practice guys. Brian Thomas, a full practice yesterday. No practice updates today so far, so we only have Thursday. The two concerns for the 49ers, Jawan Jennings, he still has not practiced this week. I haven't seen an update if he's out there today. So if he is, somebody let me know, update me. We had a little itty bitty scare with Ricky Pearsall. It sounds like he's good to go. Just another, hey man, Ricky Pearsall, everybody talking about him. Oh, by the way, he's not practicing Wednesday. That was a fun thing to see. And then CJ West, he has not practiced Thursday. And this is the ultimate football sentence. I explained it to my girlfriend of what, like, this is what football players do. CJ West has thumb surgery on Monday, and there's reports. Shanahan already straight up says, there he is. There he is, Jason. Haven't seen him in a while. What's up, Don Burr?
Big win against Baltimore, Don.
Huge win against Baltimore. But ultimate football guy thing. CJ West has thumb surgery on Monday. Kyle Shanahan says, yeah, he might play on Sunday with a cast on his hand. Hasn't practiced yet this week, so we'll see the status of him. Other than that, it looks like everybody else is there, good to go for Sunday. Jason, with this Jacksonville defense, how much of a concern is it to you that the Niners might be without Jawan Jennings once again?
A little bit. Obviously you would, we kind of counted on the idea of that. I just think when we were watching this offense last week, it was just McCaffrey and him, right? And clearly, it's Pearsall and McCaffrey, and then McCaffrey and Pearsall. Like, and I wanted to make the joke, but nobody ever like laughs at anything because everything's super serious. I wanted to say that, Pearsall's knee hurt because he's carrying the passing offense on his back. But I'm not as concerned when it comes to this, right? Like, it depends on Travis Hunter going to play a lot of corner, how much corner. Will he just follow around Ricky Pearsall? I think that's really going to be fun to see. But I necessarily wouldn't be like too worried, but it is a bummer, right? Like we kind of talked ourselves into the fact that Jawan Jennings is going to be here. Maybe not. Again, it's Friday. He hasn't practiced at all. So again, if he gets a limited session in, you feel a little bit better, but that still doesn't mean that, like, he's probably trending in the wrong direction. So it's a bummer for him more than anything because he was betting on himself to have a big season. And look, man, by the time you get back, the DeMarcus Robinson thing is probably more impactful, I think, now at this point, and he's going to be somebody who's going to be out there. So I think the loss feels less and less felt because DeMarcus Robinson is going to be there. So, it just sucks because whenever Jawan Jennings does get healthy, DeMarcus Robinson's going to be there. George Kittle will be back. And, your chance to, like, really go crazy is done, because now you're just going to be relegated back to that role. But DeMarcus Robinson makes me feel a lot better about this offense, this passing offense, if Jawan Jennings can't go.
Yeah, and like, again, like we talked about it at the top, Jason, like maybe the Jaguars defense is good because of the competition they face. But there's some names on this defense, and DeMarcus Robinson is going to be a huge addition. Just, I mean, then again, it's Kyle Shanahan. We might still be talking about Sunday. How, well, 90% of the balls went to Pearsall and McCaffrey again. But there's Trayvon Walker, there's Eric Armstead, there's Josh Hines Allen, there's Dwayne Smoot on that defensive line. In the secondary, Jordan Lewis is tied at the NFL league with 2 interceptions. They still have Tyson Campbell. Dennis Gardeck is there, a name you might be familiar with it with Arizona. He was a successful pass rusher out there. So there's names on this defense, and that doesn't include Travis Hunter, the number 2 pick in the draft. There's names on this defense where I think it would be better if Juwan Jennings, obviously it's better if Juwan Jennings plays, it just for the fact that you got to kind of spread them out a little bit more, because I'm not huge on New Orleans defense. I'm not huge on Arizona's defense. So maybe those 2 teams you can get away with McCaffrey and Pearsall.
Arizona's got a pretty good defense. I'll give them that.
Arizona.
I think I'll give them that. I think they have a very good defense, especially with all those people they're missing in the secondary.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. They got a better defense than what we saw in week whatever. I say that as the Niners only scored 16 points against them.
Right.
I guess maybe I should be giving them more credit, but this is a defense that I don't think you can necessarily get away with a heavy dose of Christian McCaffrey and a heavy dose of Ricky Pearsall. Like, there's got to be some spread in this week. So it's. Again, I'm just going to keep saying it, Jason. It's going to be a defensive matchup, and I'm very excited because I do love my defensive matchups. Do you think the Niners offense can score more than 26 points against this defense? 26 is not a ton, but it's the highest output for the Niners so far. Or do you see this being more of a 16, 17, maybe 20-point game for the offense?
Yeah, it's definitely going to be closer. I mean, when you look at the way that the Jaguars have been able to put together what they have on defense, I still don't even think this is going to be the game where the 49ers run game all of a sudden gets it going. Yeah. I think we're going to have to wait another week. If I'm wrong, great, but I think just with the way that I've been watching them and the way they use too high and, that front line gets after it, they're not going to give up a lot on the ground. So this is going to have to be one of those games again where, the extension of the run game is going to be short throws to Christian McCaffrey. And it is going to be a game where the 49ers are fighting tooth and nail. So, I do think it's going to be very close in that way as well, too. But again, I'm not nearly as impressed with this defense considering who they've played, but they are a good defense. What I mean is, I don't think that they're, elite. I don't think that this defense all of a sudden needs to be feared. I do think they are better. They're far improved than they were last season, and they have faced some poor offenses. I think both of those things can be true. So I think, again, the way that the 49ers offense operates, I still think that they'll be able to get their plays off. We need to see some more explosive stuff, particularly in the run game. I just don't think that comes in this game. But I still think the 49ers are going to be able to do what they want on offense for the most part. It's just they've got to limit the mistakes and make Trevor Lawrence make mistakes.
I guess the best way to put it with the defense is, yes, they've benefited from weaker offenses they've played against, and they might hold the Niners to how many ever points they might hold them to, but they've forced 3 turnovers in every game this season. 3 against Carolina, 3 against Cincinnati, 3 against Houston. I personally would be surprised if the 49ers turn the ball 3 times. Like that, I guess that's the difference between the Niners offense. I have some concerns about their scoring ability, but through 3 games, the Niners haven't turned the ball over much. I think other than, the 2 interceptions by Purdy in week 1 and then the 1 last week. So they've only turned the ball over 3 times this season, where Jacksonville's first 3 turnovers every game. I don't think the Niners offense is capable of doing that. I think maybe you'll get 1 turnover. If it's 3 turnovers, then this game is definitely going to be closer than it might even be a Jaguars win because that defense will take advantage of it. I don't think the Niners offense is turning the ball over 3 times. Maybe they'll get 1 interception. So I think that's really where this game is going to change. I think the key for the Niners, win the turnover battle. Go out, force some mistakes. You have the players to do it. You have the scheme to do it. You have a quarterback who can put the ball in harm's way. And it might not even be an issue of putting the ball in harm's way. Maybe it's a situation where ball bounces off of Dynami Brown's hands or off of Brian Thomas's hands right into waiting hands of Diamador Lenore or Fred Warner or somebody like that. So there's ways to win this game where Jacksonville's defense looks really good, but you still outscore. Obviously, Jason, we're big on scoring more points than your opponent, right? There's ways that can happen, especially against this tough defense, and it's really just going to come down to winning the turnover battle.
Only 5 teams are without interceptions. Only 2 of them have winning records. One is the San Francisco 49ers and the other is the Washington Commanders. The other 3 teams are the Jets, the Dolphins, and the Saints. And I don't think they have interceptions. I think there is a hand-in-hand correlation without turning the football over. However, when it comes to the 49ers, getting off the field is getting off the field. If it's a forced fumble, that's fine. It doesn't have to be an interception.
Yeah.
You're off the field. If it's a sack that ends the drive, you're off the field. Like, so again, I don't want everybody to go all crazy with this interception stat and run with it. If you're getting off the field, you're just getting off the field. Who cares how you're getting off the field? Whether it's a fumble, whether it's a sack, whether it's an incompletion, where if you're forcing a punt, that's fine. Now, having said that, it would be really nice to see them turn the football over, and those interceptions are big for literally like switching momentum and flipping field position and those types of things. But those have to happen in the flow of the game, right? Like you would have to need like a momentum change, something like that. But if the defense is doing what they're doing and they're getting off the field, however they're getting off the field, doesn't really matter. So I think what you wanna do is take the football away, with an interception, because then there won't be a punt, and then you have to pray the Sky Moore knows what the fuck he's doing when he's gonna field the punt. But at the same time, getting off the field is getting off the field. So I'm not nearly as concerned with that stat as people are making it sound out to be.
Yeah, and I think the Niners are 3-0, so they're not necessarily a ton of complaints to have, but maybe a turnover here and there instead of 3 1-possession games, it's 3 2-possession wins, or 1 3-possession win. Aaron, I can't remember our last interception. Can you guys? Yes, because I was there.
11.
It was Isaac Yadam on Geno Smith against the Seahawks at Levi Stadium, a game the Niners lost. So maybe the key is just don't intercept passes. They're 3-0, not intercepting passes this year. So that would be cool. Jason, that's a lot of what I have on this game. I know you got some other things you want to talk about. Where are you with the Niners offensive line? This is going to be a tougher matchup than previous games with this front four, Josh Hines Allen. We would have had a chance of a rematch of 2 of the top, 5 picks in the 2019 draft had Bosa stayed healthy. I think this is going to be the toughest game so far for this offensive line, coming off of a game where they didn't look particularly well. How do you feel about that through 3 weeks?
It depends. I think this is going to be their biggest test easily, and again, with the way that, watching them on film is like the way they use their stunts, and they obviously play to the strengths of, Josh Hines Allen is an absolute stud. Trayvon Walker is really rounding into shape, particularly in run defense as well too. But just some of the things that you're watching is like they're not big on blitz like rate, right? They're 14th in the league in blitz rate, 32.3%. When they do blitz, they get torched. 0.12 EPA. That's not good. You want negative on defense. That's 20th in the league. Now, when they don't blitz and they're getting there with 4 with their stunts and everything, minus 0.32, which is 5th in the NFL non-blitz EPA. They are pressuring at a high rate as well too. They're top 10, 36.2% pressure rate as well. And when they do get pressure, minus 0.49 EPA. So, conversely, when you look at that, how have the 49ers performed, with pressure? And they're 11th in the NFL, a pressure rate allowed 27.9%. When they are pressured, they're 25th in the league in EPA per play, 0.69, minus 0.69. So, I think this goes without saying that obviously you want to keep your quarterback clean, and I don't think anybody really does well against pressure. But for the 49ers, and depending on who's going to be out there, Brock or Mac, it's going to be very, very important that they keep either of them clean and give them good pockets. Again, when the 49ers aren't blitzed, they're still a top 5 unit in EPA per play. It's 0.16. And when they are blitzed, they are actually 0.20, which is 9th in EPA, but they've only been blitzed 20. They're blitzed at the 25th lowest rate in the league. So, yeah, I think it just goes without saying. Give your quarterback time, and you know what? The 49ers pass blocking has been far better than their run blocking, and that's something that I don't think we would have been able to say, a few weeks ago.
No, not at all, Jason. And we'll see what it looks like. Strawberry does make a good point that they have played the Texans and Bengals. So
Texans'
that
offensive line is gross. Laken Tomlinson's getting his ass whipped every single week.
So they're not necessarily facing better, but then again, the Niners are more middle of the road offensive line compared to bad offensive line. So it's not too far of a stretch to say the Niners could, it could be a situation where Jacksonville takes advantage of this Niners offensive line. It's still in the realm of possibilities. And there is a lot of talent on this defensive line. We mentioned Hines Allen, we mentioned Smoot, we mentioned Walker. So there is talent there. So I'm very curious to see how the Niners offensive line handles it. I had one more point I wanted to make, Jason, and I totally forgot it. That's my fault. Oh, underdog. Do you got any underdog lines you want to talk about? Because I think we're a little clean on the health issues of players. Then again, we don't necessarily know what's going on with Purdy. So do you got any underdog numbers you want to throw out there, Jason?
Let's take a look. Let's see what we got here. I don't know because they still don't know who's going to be playing quarterback, so they may be playing coy. All right, let's see popular ones. Okay, let's see fantasy points for Christian McCaffrey. I'll probably stay away from that. Yeah, there's nothing for pass and rush yards. Yeah, they don't have anything really. It's only fantasy points that they have right now. So yeah, because of the quarterback, when you don't know who the quarterback is, they don't put anything out, and they're not going to put anything else closer. But I will say this. One that I'm looking at right away, Ricky Pearsall, 11.95 fantasy points, higher.
Yeah.
I mean, like regardless, like even if he doesn't have an efficient game, you don't have to give him the ball 11 times, but yeah, that's higher right there. But yeah, they don't have anything unfortunately. But underdog, you can use promo code Aponte to double your first deposit. So go ahead and check that out, but you're gonna have to wait closer to game day for that.
Jason, do you have any final thoughts before we start diving into some predictions for the rest of the NFL weekend?
Yeah, I mean, look, it would be real nice for the 49ers offense to get going running the football, right? But I just don't think this is going to be the matchup for that. When you look at how the Jaguars have been, their EPA per rush, their EPA per rush is actually not that good. I mean, they're 22nd in the league, 0.02 allowed, right? Like that would imply, hey, you can run the football on them. But I just think that the way that they're off, like their defense is played, is structured, with a lot of too high, they run too high, about 37.7% of the time. The run fits are all going to be there. So I would love to see this 49ers offense get rolling a little bit here, especially just running the football because, they're leading like the world in like passing. They've been incredible throwing the football, even that's with two quarterbacks. But they've got to get back to, what they're good at and taking things off of the quarterback's plate when this offense is most efficient.
Perfect. I like that. Hey, Jason, that was a great time again to remind people, if you haven't already, subscribe to Jason Fonte's YouTube channel. Great content coming up today, 2:30. Dieter's going to be joining Jason for their weekly show, talking about realistic expectations for the 49ers for the rest of the season. Some great content there. We will be back on Sunday as well to talk instant reaction. I love these instant reactions. I'm going to guess we're going to do Monday at noon with the Monday night doubleheader again with everything, but we'll figure they got to stop. They got to stop, man.
No, I don't mind a doubleheader. But who the hell did I piss off that made it that I have to watch the Jets and the Dolphins staggered against the Broncos and the Bengals? What did I do to deserve this? Like, I'll watch it, and I'll watch it on two different screens, but I don't have to like it. Like, Jesus Christ, man. And you know what's funny is we're complaining about this right now, but it's going to come down to a point in May where we're like, dude, I'd kill to watch Bailey Zappi play against Jake Browning right now in a football game. But man, I don't know who we pissed off or what the hell we did to deserve this, but I'll watch it, but I don't have to like it.
And Jason, just to make you even more excited for Jets Dolphins, big uniform guy you are. The Dolphins are debuting their rivals uniforms, which are very dark blue, and I don't know how I feel about them.
Enough about there's three things the San Francisco 49ers fans and football fans in general speak about way too much that does not need to be discussed. Backup quarterbacks, kickers, and jerseys.
The Niners wearing white uniforms again at home to be cool against those Jacksonville Jaguars who definitely have never felt heat in their life playing football. It's not like it's super hot in Jacksonville, Florida ever or anything like that, Jason. So any advantage the Niners can get, am I right?
Can I ask a question? How hot is hot in Santa Clara?
It's supposed to, I think 80 degrees it's going to be 80 degrees in Santa Clara on Sunday. I would probably say 85 is high. I mean, it's a little different for me because I'm in Sacramento and we're casually going to have a 92-degree day today, and that's a little hot for me. But I think it's supposed to be like 80 degrees in Santa Clara on Sunday. So I don't think that's too bad. I guess with the Jason, the sun is hot, 81 degrees.
No, it's 81 degrees where I am right now, and
that's with humidity.
And I live in the Northeast.
It's 74 degrees on Sunday. Yeah, dude, the Niners could have worn their red on this game, man. Niners could have worn their red.
Look, Andrew, I've learned things about California, right? You talk to me about Sacramento, and you're talking about like it's over 100. That's ridiculous, right?
It's 81
that's
degrees
ridiculous
here too, buddy.
Yeah, that's ridiculous, right? My God, man, this whole heat thing in Santa Clara, like, bro, 80 degrees, that's a comfortable ass day, man. Y'all gotta get tough, man. Y'all gotta start getting tougher out there, bro, because I understand you're not used to it, like 80 or whatever. It gets to like 90, 95, 100 here, humidity, man. Y'all gotta stop complaining about that. I just have a hard time just, having any compassion for like,
Hey
oh my
man,
God, it's 80 degrees in Santa Clara. Who
yeah.
cares?
80 degrees is a who cares for me as well. Typically out here, if it's 85 degrees, I'm wearing long sleeves myself. Like 85 isn't that bad. So, Jason, let's go through some of the games this week and
Uh,
predict them.
yeah,
I
we
don't have
got a
the
bad.
number.
I had a bad week last week. Whew.
I don't have the numbers in front. I'll get an updated number when we go through this week. But Jason and I, we did not do well. This now's where's oh man, who's the guy who was honest about the Titans? Now's the time to make fun of us about the Titans pick instead of 3 seconds after
Or
the
the
Niners
Eagles
beat the
one,
Cardinals.
or the Rams one,
Matt, it was Matt. Matt, that's who it was. Matt, now's the time to make fun of us for
and the
picking the
Rams
Titans
one
over the
too,
Colts.
man. Like Jesus, man. You know what's funny though is like when we picked the Rams, we were already high fiving each other, like virtually through the at the end of the first half, and it was so funny because somebody was in the chat and they were like, "Well, the Rams can't defend the run. They bottled that shit up. Their problem was that they couldn't defend the pass. They actually bottled up that tush
Yeah.
push merchant and Saquon."
Jason, let's go through it. Sunday morning, the Vikings play the Steelers in Dublin, Ireland. I don't know if that was the right accent, so I don't know. We tried. Jason, who you got? Vikings, Steelers.
Probably the Vikings. I don't like the injuries that the Steelers have. Jalen Warren's banged up. That Vikings defense is going to come to play. They haven't exactly lit it up with Aaron Rodgers. But I'm going to go the Vikings on this one. Carson Wentz goes 2-0.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Carson Wentz as well. I kind of the same logic I use. I really like until Brian Flores' defense gets speed. Pittsburgh's offense hasn't looked too impressive. I think Flores' defense is going to play well. Commanders at Falcons. No Jaden Daniels, so it's another Marcus Mariota start. I believe
Marcus
that came
Mariota
across.
revenge game.
I everything in my soul wants to pick the Falcons in this game.
They
But then
stink.
I remembered they lost 30-0 to the Carolina Panthers last week. I'm gonna go commies.
Yeah, I got Washington here. I think Dan Quinn and them they'll do enough to get this done. But my God, Atlanta, they stink. Did you see? Wait a minute. Did you see what Raheem Morris said at his press conference? And this is
No.
so unnecessary. He says this isn't like last year. Kirk Cousins lost his job, and we're nowhere near this with Michael Penix. I'm like, why would you say that? Like what? That was so unnecessary to say that about Kirk Cousins. And Michael Penix is not that good. So he's just like, we're nowhere near where we were last year. Kirk Cousins lost his job. I was like, dude, shut up, man. If I was in that locker room, I would have been like, yo, what's your fucking problem, Raheem Morris? Like, why would you say something like that?
That makes me think he's thinking about benching Michael Penix. Like him saying we're not at that point makes me think he's at that point. That's just me though. Do we need to waste time talking Saints Bills, Jason Aponte?
Bills.
Yeah, Bills by a bajillion. 15.5 point favorite, and I don't think that's high enough. Browns Lions, and I think that's an intriguing one because
Jim
of the
Schwartz
Browns.
revenge game.
What a game! I'm gonna go the Lions though. I think the Lions are back. I think a lot of doubts in the offseason about losing both their coordinators, losing to the Packers week 1, but then what they showed Monday night against Lamar Jackson. I'm back all in on the Lions.
Yeah, the Lions look good, man. We might got to start talking about Dan Campbell a little bit different because we were saying, hey, let's see him do it without Ben Johnson. Hey, 2-1. How we looking? If the Cleveland Browns had any offense, any semblance of an offense, man, they could be so good. They could be so good. Their defense is so good. It is like one of the top units. It's so fun to watch, man. I do think Jim Schwartz is going to have a little something for the Lions, but, you got to go with your gut here. The Lions are going to win.
Panthers Patriots, a rematch of a Super Bowl about 2 decades ago.
What a fire Super Bowl that was.
Yeah, it was a good Super Bowl. Carolina coming off of their first one of the season, as I said, the 30-0 win over the Atlanta Falcons. The Patriots lost to the Steelers, I believe, last week. I'm just going to keep picking the Patriots until I feel silly about it. I kind of like what they're doing, although I was a little concerned last week. I'm just going to go New England over Carolina. I think Carolina, you know that thing in baseball where it's a random game and your favorite team scores like 15 runs and it's like, hey, save some runs for tomorrow.
Save some for tomorrow.
I think that's what this is. Carolina used all of it last week against Atlanta. Save some points for this week. New England over Carolina.
Yeah, Christian Gonzalez sounds like he's going to be back. Chuba Hubbard's banged up. He sounds like he's going to be a game time decision. Same thing with Tet McMillan. Yeah, this one is the Patriots.
Eli Manning Bowl, the San Diego Superchargers against the New York Giants. It's Jackson Dart's first career start. Russell Wilson is out, which I got a little joy out of that one. Russell Wilson getting benched. So
Tony Gonzalez and Richard Sherman off the top rope last night on Russell Wilson. My God.
I love how much Sherm hates Russell Wilson. It's
Sherman,
really fun.
Sherman legit hates Russell Wilson because of that Super Bowl. Legit. Yeah. And Pete Carroll. Both of them. He legit blames them for the reason that they haven't won it. And you know what? I aspire to be that petty.
I love it. I'm going to go Chargers.
Yeah, Chargers by a lot, man. You know, the Giants are ridiculous. First of all, Dart, Wilson, Jameis, I'm sorry, Andrew. It doesn't matter. The Giants stink. But listen to these 4 teams that they've set Jackson Dart up to face. The Chargers, the Eagles twice, and what is it, like another top defense? Like I think it was like Denver or something. Like, what on earth are you gonna like? You're gonna set this young man up to get himself killed and not learn anything about it. And what I'm afraid of, because I know how dumb Giants fans are, is when they get their ass kicked in each of these games, they're gonna be like, Dart sucks. And not consider the fact that Dabble's a terrible coach and they're facing some of the best defenses in the NFL. Like, what is the plan here? Why on earth would you send that kid out there to go get killed like that against these great defenses?
Next 6 for the Giants: Chargers at Saints, which there's your break.
There's your
Eagles at Broncos at Eagles 49ers.
What on earth? Like, look, and if they don't win that Saints game, when's the win coming? So, I don't know, man. And look, Dabble, I know that you're trying to grasp at straws, but you're going to get that young man killed because they are going... Jesse Minter is going to have that team in an absolute blender. And it's not going to get much better when he faces Philly and when he faces Denver. So, I don't know what the hell they're thinking, man. Like, and the other thing is, and I don't want to keep talking about the Giants, have they ever developed a quarterback ever not named Eli Manning? Ever?
No.
Anyone?
No.
So, I'm sorry, Jackson Dart, that it had to be you, but they're setting you up to fail, dude, and they're gonna blame you as if it's not an organizational failure from the top down.
My last Giants thought is Cincinnati, go trade for Jameis, please. I need it.
At least
Eagles,
be fun.
Eagles Buccaneers, only 3-0 matchup. I know I picked the Buccaneers to lose to the Jets last week. I'm completely flipping course. I'm going to go Buccaneers despite the injuries because it feels like traditionally Tampa Bay has Philadelphia's number. So I'm going to go Tampa Bay over Philly.
Nick Wagner just reported that Brock Purdy is again in uniform and going through drills during early portion of Friday's practice. Again, all signs pointing towards his return on Sunday. Does anybody know who that guy Elliot something Parks is or whatever, the guy who does all the training camp stats for the Eagles and like literally was like, oh, they won this many joint practices, like the most ridiculous shit I've ever heard in my life. So he's going through the positives and negatives, and he says a negative for the San Francisco for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers is their rushing offense. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers have rushed for over 100 yards 11 straight games. I'm not sure that there's ever been a beat writer or reporter who doesn't know less about their team or about anything about football than that guy. And I don't know why I went on that, but yeah, give me the Bucs, man. It seems like it's a yearly tradition. I think that they're going to be the ones who knock off the Eagles. Godwin, might be returning. Obviously, no Mike Evans, but Ebuka is really good. As long as they could run the football, I think they can throw the football on the secondary. And, the Eagles are banged up in the secondary, man. They've got to take advantage of it. So as long as Baker protects the football, for sure, I'm going to keep betting against the Eagles. So, yeah.
It's week 4, and I think we have a loser leaves town game already, Jason Aponte. I think the loser of this game is missing the playoffs. The 0-3 Tennessee Titans, the 0-3 Houston Texans. If the Texans do not win this game, D'Amico Ryans is going to be back in San Francisco at some point this year. I'm going to go the Houston Texans.
We're getting the band back together. D'Amico, Mike McDaniel. They're going to be consultants. Also, by the way, Jawan Jennings is on the field and participating in brief early open portion of Friday. That is a very good sign for
That's a good
Sunday.
sign.
Texans against who? Yes, the Texans have to win this game. But I am very concerned that the play caller's bad, the offensive line is bad, and now it's having a effect on CJ Stroud, who has been bad. And we're going on 2 straight years of this. So yes, it has to be them this week because yeah, D'Amico and Mike McDaniel will be back as consultants, and we'll have the whole band back together this season if this doesn't work.
So you're going Texans. The 3-0 Colts at the 2-1 Rams. I'm half tempted to take Indianapolis here, just because of how Los Angeles fell apart at the end of that last game. I think at the end of the day, the Rams are just a better football team, and I think that was more of a blip on the radar than anything else. I'm going to go the Rams.
Yeah, I think the Rams are going to win as well, too. You know, the Indianapolis Colts haven't turned the football over once. And so much of this has been, hey, Daniel Jones has played well, which he has. But holy shit, is Jonathan Taylor playing like the best fucking running back in football this year. My God, man. And imagine opposing defenses knowing that you're trying to just feed Jonathan Taylor and there ain't shit you could do about it, man. He's been incredible. But I do think the Rams got this one.
Who would have thought the 1-2 Ravens head to Kansas City to take on the 1-2 Chiefs?
The toilet bowl.
I got the Ravens. I know the Ravens have had 2 tough losses this year against the Lions and the Bills, but those are teams you hypothetically should be losing to because they're also very good. The Chiefs, I just nothing about the Chiefs this year has really impressed me. And I'm on the precipice of saying maybe Kansas City's not a playoff team, but we'll see after this week. I'm going to go Ravens over the Chiefs.
Yeah, me too. My heart and my hate is telling me the Ravens as well too. But you know, it just wouldn't shock me if all of a sudden the Chiefs find a way to win this one. Xavier Worthy is going to play. That just came out as well too, so that I guess that'll help. But yeah, man, it just worse than being bad. The Chiefs are boring. Their offense is so boring. And you know what else is funny? And nobody's gonna bring this up, right? Nobody's gonna bring this up because you know he's won so many championships. Andy Reid's offense is unimaginative and uninspired and very, very stale. Yeah. Very stale. And some of the stuff that I'm seeing is like you're running a play action boot with Patrick Mahomes and you're running him out to the right. And the route concept that you're running on it is got them running all the way to the left. So you want Patrick Mahomes to not have anybody to throw to while he's on the run to the right. Like, what is Andy Reid cooking over there? Yeah. So nobody will bring this up because he's won a bunch of Super Bowls. But that offense is stale and very broken. They can't run the football. And I don't know, man. Andy Reid is a GOAT Hall of Fame coach, one of those ones. But shit, you know, you can't tell me that offense is fun to watch. And they realistically, stylistically, they're not doing anything correctly, and they just look like shit. But having said all that, watch it be this week, even though I'm picking Baltimore.
Bears at the Raiders. I think the Bears really figured it out last week. I think they're going to start turning it around. I think the Raiders are not very good, even though I thought they were going to be better this year. I'm going to go Chicago Bears.
The Bears look good. They look a lot better. And you know what's funny is Caleb Williams, even though they got a 50 burger dropped on them by the Lions, that's when I started to say, hey, wait a minute. There's some stuff here that like is inspiring. Like he's, you know, it's funny how in a game where, you know, you get absolutely blitzed and lose, you know, and you get 50 dropped on you, you're watching the tape and you're like, hey, Caleb Williams is playing in structure and, you know, doing some of that stuff. You know, Rome Odunze's taken a huge step, man. He's been fantastic. Yeah, I'll probably go with the Bears. I do think the Raiders stink, man. They are really bad, man. They're just, you know, again, Chip Kelly, whatever, and any chance that I get to hate on Pete Carroll, I will. It just happens that he's the Raiders coach now. So, yeah, I'm probably going to go with the Bears here.
Sunday Night Football, Jason, Jerry Jones's mouth is writing checks that Dak Prescott's going to have to pay. Packers versus the Cowboys. I don't know if you heard this, Jason, but the Cowboys had Micah Parsons, traded him to the Green Bay Packers. It's the return. Packers win.
So, yes, the Packers win. But I just want to comment on what you just said because Jerry Jones Jerry Jones goes on the radio, and you know what? I have to really say that I'm impressed with Jerry Jones. Like, Unk
Yeah.
still got it. He still got his fastball. He can still paint the corner with 99. Like, it's still there. And for him to say, yeah, we had Micah, but we weren't winning any Super Bowls with him or whatever. Yeah, he makes some plays. Like, holy shit, man. And you know what? If I'm Dak Prescott, I'm so mad. Like, Micah Parsons is going to, like, snap Dak Prescott across his knee, pause, like Bane. Like, and it's all because of Jerry Jones and what he said. But yeah, man, Jerry Jones is hilarious, objectively hilarious for saying that. And you know what's funny? There's nothing that's gonna stop him from saying whatever it is that he wants to say. It's like, you ever speak to an older person and you realize that their ideology is completely outdated and they say things that you're not
Yep.
supposed to say, but you're not gonna change their mind. They're 82.
No.
They went their entire life like this. At
Yep.
82, they're not gonna change.
No.
Never change, Jerry Jones, man.
No.
You are a content machine. My God, that was I laughed audibly loud listening to him say that about Micah Parsons. Like, I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it.
No, he knows he's not the one standing in the pocket taking those hits. So
Right.
he knows where he stands. Jason, Monday night doubleheader, Jets at Dolphins. I'm gonna go the Dolphins. There's got to be it for the Dolphins. If they lose this game, I think this is another Mike McDaniel might be returning to Santa Clara sooner than later.
America's gonna lose on Monday. I'm taking America losing and covering the spread of like 17.5 for having to watch these games. I think the Jets win. I really like some of the stuff that happened at the end of that game. I really like what Aaron Glenn does and everything. By the way, Steve Wilkes gave one of the funniest quotes ever about what Baker Mayfield said about him, and I thought it was like, again, I don't have a problem with Steve Wilkes, man. Again, they were minutes away from winning the Super Bowl with him as a defensive coordinator and all that up in the booth and down. But basically, Baker said, yeah, the defensive coordinator over there, he cut me when I was in Carolina. And Steve Wilkes goes, interim head coaches don't have that type of power on personnel. If that was the case, I wouldn't have traded Christian McCaffrey, my best player. Like, it was
That's a good
perfect.
quote.
It was a good quote. Yeah. So yeah, I got the Jets. They're cooking something up. Justin Fields is gonna be back, man. I think he had awful, as good as a game as he had in week 1. He had a terrible game in week 2. Miami's just not very good. I could definitely see this being where the fire of McDaniel's chance like just get louder as that game is gonna be played in Miami.
Jake Browning and the Bengals versus Bo Nix and the Broncos. I'm going to go the Broncos. I don't have much hope in the Bengals.
Yeah, the Broncos. Like, oh, God, man. Like, again, think about it this way. I guess when the schedule came out and they said, hey, we're going to do this Monday night thing, and it's going to be the Jets and the Dolphins. Well, the Jets should be a little bit more exciting with Justin Fields there, and the Dolphins have a very good offense, right? And a high-powered offense. No and no. And then, hey, well, Denver's got a really good defense, and Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase are really good. No and no. I mean, the Denver does have a good defense, but yeah, man, it's just how quickly this league changes. That went from like if we would have saw this on the schedule, we would have been like, oh shit, this is gonna be a good game, and now we're looking to like, what did we do to deserve this, and who did I piss off, man?
Game we all care about, Jason, 1:05 p.m. on Fox. The Jacksonville Jaguars head west to take on the San Francisco 49ers. Niners 3.5-point favorites. I'm going to go Niners. I think this is going to be a defensive game. I've said it all podcasts. I think this is going to be a very tight game. I'm going to go Niners 17, Jacksonville 13. I think the Jaguars defense is legitimate. I think Purdy has some struggles coming back from the turf toe injury. I'm still not 100% sure he's healthy because again, he's trending the right way as of Friday. But I'm going to go Niners 17, Jacksonville 13.
I got the 49ers winning 24-17. I think this passing offense is going to do enough, especially if Jawan Jennings is back. DeMarcus Robinson's back as well too. And it sounds like Brock Purdy's going to play. I'm not certain that I believe that the Jacksonville Jaguars defense has turned overnight into world beaters. When I saw them, I saw some things that I was very interested in with their defensive line, and they do have talent. But I mean, I'm not confident that I think that defense is as good as people think it is because of who they faced. I mean, I can't hide that fact. And I do think that the 49ers can have their way passing the football as they have all season. Would like to see the running game get on there, but, as long as they limit the turnovers, they'll get to 24 and the 17, and then boom. That's it. And Rod's here. What up? What up? Go Rams. Rams 49ers next week. You know what I just realized, Andrew? First of all, everybody talks about short week for the NFL players and everything on Thursday. What about the short week for podcasters? Like we've got to cram all this stuff in for Thursday. But you know what? You know what else is really good? I can watch football with people on Sunday.
It's exciting. It's exciting, isn't it?
Oh my God. Like I don't have to be locked in my room alone watching the games, taking my notes. I can just go get drunk and be loud with the other idiots. I'm so excited for that, man. I love watching football with other people and hearing their awful opinions.
I love it. Yeah, no, that's my favorite part when the Niners play like Sunday night or Monday night or Thursday night is you get the whole football slate of the day to yourself. My least favorite is like when the Niners played in New Orleans at the 10 a.m. game. It's like you miss the meat and potatoes of a football Sunday if the Niners play at 10 a.m. So I'm very excited for the Thursday night game, and it's extra fun that the Niners are going to be playing a division rival on Thursday night.
Is that Rory? What's up, buddy? I haven't seen Rory in forever, man. What's going on, man? It's good to see you, bro. Dude. I hope you and the family are well, bro. It's really good to see you, man.
So that's going to be it for this week's episode, Jason Aponte. It was fun. We'll be back Sunday, instant reaction. Monday, as I said, probably noontime, just because of the doubleheader. Niners 49, Jaguars 0, where we like that. And Rod says, but we got the Colts this weekend, and they're no joke.
Watch your back. Indiana Jones is after you now. You're in the scope, pal.
So that's going to do it.
You know what's scary? We played them.
What? Yeah, we played the Colts.
Oh no! We were just like, ha ha ha! Daniel Jones is gonna start.
Well, by the time we get there, because that's what, like week 15, the Colts might be a different team. Niners might be a different team. So we'll see what they look like. Jason, that's going to be it for today because I got to clock back in for work.
Hurry up.
Jason Aponte, as always.
Let's go Niners.
Let's go Niners. Bam.